Hello everyone, my name is Shane, my online name is Lanzer, and today is day 22 of investing into Control Finance. Today we're going to go over a performance checkpoint and some details into the transactions ledger and the CF ledger that I created in my metrics tracker. A lot of people have been commenting that it's a little bit difficult to see some of the text on my videos, so I decided to add a magnifier bar at the top of the screen, which you can now see quite clearly what it is that I have moused over. So starting right off the bat, you may notice that my amount deposited here is quite a bit more than what I started out with, and that's because after observing the interest rate for 7 days and seeing that it stayed at 1.5%, I decided to triple my investment and see where it took me. So that's what I did, and I'm now at $30,000 and up from $10,000. Let's go into the transactions log. As you can see, interest has been accruing every day as advertised. It's a little bit muddied here because Control Finance has a weird way of reporting the ledger, but I figured out what each thing means for the most part. Earnings to account Bitcoin is your payout. That means that Control Finance has taken your active deposit, applied the interest rate, and given it to account Bitcoin, which is what you see here. Now, once it's there, you can withdraw it, and when you withdraw it, it'll say this: withdrawal to account Bitcoin. What they really mean to say is withdrawal from account Bitcoin. So when you withdraw your funds, as I'm about to show, you put in the amount, you hit next, and then it'll tell you what it is that you're going to be depositing in BTC amount. That amount is not a fixed amount, and I'll show you why in the ledger here in a little bit. And then you hit confirm. So that is what it means when it says withdrawal to account Bitcoin. It really means you're withdrawing from your account Bitcoin here to an external place. It's just labeled oddly. Referral commission to account Bitcoin. So I need to disclose that someone figured out my referral link and they used it to sign up under my name, and then they started depositing money, so I started getting a referral commission, and I needed to figure out what to do with that because referrals, in my opinion, don't accurately reflect what the service is offering, and I didn't want it to unnecessarily influence my reporting of the return on investment and the actuals that started accruing here in the metrics tracker. So what I did was I decided to reinvest the commission back into my active deposit account, and lucky for me, Control Finance has a true compounding interest mechanism. Unlike Bitcoin, when you reinvest, it creates a separate loan for the amount that you reinvest. Control Finance, however, allows you to tack on to your principal, and the interest rate draws from that principal in its entirety. That's a true compounding interest, much like a savings account, and I found that to be the most reasonable way to account for the commission. Condor, you sly ninja. It's okay. It's all good. Alright, deposit to account Bitcoin is exactly what it looks like. You deposited money into your active deposit. You may notice that account Bitcoin somewhat implies this thing right here, which is the kind of in between your active deposit and your withdrawal, your external wallet. But in the ledger, the transaction ledger, this deposit to account Bitcoin actually means you're depositing to your active deposit. It's a bit confusing. It may take you a little bit to understand what the labels say, but the math still checks out for the most part. And we'll get into why I say for the most part here in a little bit. So that is everything that I need to go over for the transactions tab. total earnings is about $7,700, and my total withdrawn is about $6,500. So I'm withdrawing fairly regularly in order to populate my handy dandy metrics tracker. I renamed it because it is an analysis, but really what I'm doing is I'm tracking the metrics, the data, and fact checking that way. So let's go ahead and start. So I initially deposited $10,000, which amounted to 3.68 Bitcoins. I am now at $33,000, which equals 6.67 Bitcoins. My first investment started on 2 August. Control Finance pays out every 24 hours. The minimum advertised rate is 1.50, and you can see this tier here. I'm above the $10,000 level, so the advertised rate becomes 1.50, and it hasn't changed since 2 August. So that means that the advertised rate becomes 1.50 if this was the minimum was 1.5 and it gave an extra, it would reflect here in the advertised rate. The evaluation term, I decided to go with 120 days. Comparison with the BitConnect lending program. And Control Finance does things just a little bit different in that magnifier is freaking out a little bit. Control Finance does things a little bit different in that because it's a true compounding interest sort of deal, this handy dandy little calculator they have here actually is very, very accurate in predicting what you're going to get depending on your profit percentage here. That actually, I come to find, reflects the true profit that it intends to give you every day, depending on what amount you invest. And that's part of the minimum advertised rate tier comment here I have. As you can see, my active deposit is 33,643.97, and 33,643.97 says I should be getting $504.66, and as of just now, I received $504.65. Weird thing is that if you subtract this properly, and again, I need to subtract the referral commission. The commission was $3.31. You can see 504.66. So the transaction log showed $504.65, but when you do it mathematically in the deposit, what you actually withdraw, it shows the amount that the calculator shows, cent addition. Very odd, not sure why it does that, but it does. And it doesn't seem to do that on every transaction. Just some transaction, it adds a penny, I suppose, to reflect the actual amount that it says you should be earning daily. Not sure why the ledger says it's 504.65, but okay. Moving on. 504.66 is what I should be getting daily. My advertised weekly earnings is $3,500. Monthly is $15,000, and yearly is $184,000. Calculated at 1.5% daily, 10.5% weekly, 45% monthly, and 547.50% yearly. So, would Lanzer invest in Control Finance again? Right now I have with caution. A little bit over halfway towards very likely, but it's with caution because since day one, as you can see here in these graphs, since day one, the average interest rate has stayed the same at 1.50. It hasn't budged the entire way. The projected return on investment has also stayed the same and hasn't budged. The interest payout graph here is, you can see it fluctuates, and that's because the green bar represents the principal, and because I decided to triple my investment early on. That's why you see these big jumps, and then the smaller jumps are the reinvestments of various different things, which we'll go over here shortly. Actuals to date. So the transfer process is from United States dollars, which is the payout, and it transfers to Bitcoin very briefly, and then into United States dollars. So the way it worked in my last video was you withdraw your money, and it takes this amount, converts it into Bitcoin, sends it to the Bitcoin address, and then you can do with it whatever you will from there. So days accrued interest so far have been 23 days. I have 97 days left in this evaluation period. I have so far accrued $7,700. The highest was $504. The lowest was $154, and the average is $335. Now, those three numbers are a bit misleading because I changed my principal amount, which, because the static rate was 1.5% every day, it would naturally change the amount I would be paid out. So really, neither of these three numbers reflect what they should be reflecting, which is a variable interest rate. And I haven't done anything with these numbers yet, but they may disappear in the future, for control finance at least. The difference between payout and bank account deposit so far has been $86, not in my favor. Total fees incurred from start to finish is $102. Is 1.79% of my total payout earned, and the average fee per transaction is $12. Just like in BitConnect, most of these fees come from my external wallet, but because that is what it takes for me to put it into my bank account, I count that as the cost of doing business. The average interest rate, 1.5 was guaranteed, 1.5 was received, highest, lowest, hasn't changed. So that means my actual rate of return so far is hovering at 34.5%. I have grossed $7,700. My actual net in the bank is $6,400, giving me a 19% return on my principal. After 23 days interest accrued, I have netted 19% of my current active investment, which is now $33,000. So projections. Interestingly enough, the projected break-even day, gross, so not minus fees, is 67 days, a little over 2 months. The net, so taking into account all the fees and charges that occur since payout, 69 days. So that's a 2-day difference. Those 2 days illustrate the amount of time it takes to recover fees assessed since payout. And that is quite an interesting calculation. So far, it hasn't shown any sign of letting up from that projection. So, as long as it stays that way, that number shouldn't change. So projected interest payout for the entire term of 120 days is going to be $60,000. The projected loss is $1,900, and that will be from fees mainly. I haven't quite fleshed that number out in its entirety, but that is a carryover calculation, a carryover formula from my BitConnect metrics tracker. And projected loss from gross is $1, and I'll need to investigate why those two numbers show what they do. Projected total fees is about $1,500 if things continue being assessed the way they are. Projected rate of return 180%, which doesn't really reflect here because my term length is separate. So if I did 60-day term length, then you'll see I'm projected to have a return of 90%, whereas I'm quoted 45. Now, if I do yearly, then I'm right at 547.49, and that is almost precisely what Control Finance projects. So interesting, you can just play with the numbers. I want to say 7, which is weekly, 10.5, 30 days. Then you can see that I'm projected at 45%, which is precisely what the advertised monthly earnings is. So I'm at 120 days now, and it's 180%, which is right on target with what the monthly times 3 is. My projected weekly is 10.5, monthly is 45, and my annual is 547, and again, that's in line with what you see here. No surprises yet. My projected gross is 60,000. My net return is 58,000, and my projected net return on principal is 174%. So I'm projecting about a 6% loss, and that is primarily due to fees. Let's go ahead and move over into the ledger, which is where all the details are. So you can see my principal tab. It's important to know that the principal is unrecoverable. Once you make that deposit, you will not be able to get it back. So I started out at 10,000, and I accrued interest payments every day as advertised, and as you can see, it didn't budge at 1.5%. And then after day 10 here, I decided that I wanted to up my game, and then I invested 11,000, and I received a 3% bonus, which equaled $359. So that bumped up my investment to 22,000, and then a couple days later I bumped it up to 30,000. So the interest rate has been stable, commensurate to the 1.5%. After 23 days, it has not budged from that. I'm quite intrigued by that. It makes projections very, very easy, and I hope that it continues to do so. So the bonuses come at a solid 3%, and that was advertised on there under the investment offer tab. You can see here they're offering 3%. Someone told me that not long before I invested it was 5%. I think I remember seeing that, but now it's 3%. Okay, so made some deposits. I did attempt to reinvest, which the difference between reinvesting is that when you decide to reinvest, all you do here is you hit make a deposit, and when you want to do that, come down here at the bottom. Instead of going Bitcoin, which is where it would give you an invoice, just check it out here. So $10, it would give you an invoice, and it would give you an address to send it to, and that would be if you wanted to deposit money from outside of Control Finance. You want to reinvest from your actual internal Control Finance Bitcoin wallet, which is not an actual Bitcoin wallet. It houses money, unless of course it does house real Bitcoin and it just reports it as a dollar figure. There's no way to know. In any case, your account Bitcoin, then you go to account Bitcoin balance and you do it that way, and it will subtract from here. So the average interest rate has stayed at 1.5. The projected return on investment has gone up by 0.01, and that is primarily due to that little penny fluctuation, which started my second day. So as you can see, I received 154.17 my first day of interest, and I withdrew 154.17. My second day I received the same amount, but in the withdrawal area it showed $154.18, which is a penny more than what it said I should have received. I didn't know where that penny came from. It didn't make any sense. but I recorded it and made sure that it was noted. But I believe that 0.01% comes from the fluctuation of that penny up and down, and it's been cropping up ever since. And in fact, on day 9 of interest came from an additional 3 cents, which really only covers 3 of these days. That means 2 of these days did not give me an extra penny. And then same thing here, one of the days, one of the 3 here gave me an extra penny. At least this time it's in my favor instead of it being taken away, and that's a positive thing at least. So once you withdraw, the process is a little bit odd, but it works. So up front, the process works from start to finish, but it has some peculiarities about it that you should be aware of. So when you hit withdrawal, it will give you, just do $10. It will give you a BTC amount right here. And what you should expect is that when you withdraw the money out of your Bitcoin wallet, that it will give you that amount. Well, what I come to find out is that what I receive in my external is different than the amount that Control Finance says it sent. And I verified that by going into the block cipher ledger, and the block cipher ledger records the same amount that my external wallet records. So what that tells me is that the amount sent from Control Finance was different than the amount it says that it reported. Taking into consideration that Control Finance has a little bit of difficulty reporting the exact figures to the penny on its payouts, it's not quite such a surprise that there's something different here too. I noticed the same thing in my very first day when I initially deposited the $10,000. You may recall that the $10,000 that I sent to Control Finance was a different amount than received by Control Finance. Control Finance received $9,996. So I lost about $4 or $14 there during that 15-minute period it took to confirm the Bitcoin transaction. And I theorized what might have happened there. So that phenomenon carried over into the withdrawal process. So I sent that amount, my external wallet received a slightly less amount, and as you can see here, so I grossed that much in Bitcoin. I sent it to my wallet here. So there was a difference of 0.0002 Bitcoin, which was a decrease of 0.36%. And that to me looked like a fee. The interesting amount is that the withdrawal fee says we have no fee for this operation. Okay, so that's why I didn't expect the amount to change. But clearly, every single time the amount has changed, except I'll get into this. This was really weird. But the amount has changed. And what I decided to do was email tech support, Control tech support, and ask them why I was receiving a different amount in my external wallet than what Control Finance says it sent. And I asked them, do you know why CF sent less than what it recorded in the transaction tab? I provided the necessary screenshots to show what it was that I was talking about, and their response was commission blockchain pay client. So there was a commission, which was a fee or charge taken from my account and paid to someone, but they seem to imply that it may have come from the blockchain, such as BlockCipher or whoever processed the account, which, okay, so we'll gloss over that fact, just record it as we're supposed to, and move on from there. Interestingly enough, on day 9, I put in the amount. Come to find out that not only was there a different amount, but instead of there being a decrease from what Control Finance sent, there was an increase, which was very confusing. And that increase was worth 0.00005912 Bitcoin. It happened again and again and again. So I can't exactly count an increase as a fee. I don't really know why this is happening, but it's happening, and all I'm gonna do is just account for it, note it, and then move on. It was quite a small amount, so I decided not to worry too much about it, because as you can see in the Control Finance support email, they think it's a commission blockchain pay client, whatever that is. Then I transfer to my bank account, and this looks pretty normal. If you're watching my BitConnect videos, I'm utilizing the same external wallet. It has about the same fees, although this one is a little bit higher. And here's the total fee amount that was charged, fee rate, and difference in payout. So it was paid out in United States dollars. I converted it back into United States dollars after a brief Bitcoin conversion, and for the most part I lost money, which has been a pattern when I try to calculate this tab, except for this day, which I gained 0.07 cents. Okay. So the rate analysis doesn't really show a whole lot. It's a carryover from BitConnect. There's some questions that I've been investigating. Is there a flat interest rate every day? Turns out yes, there is. Why was my initial deposit transfer less than what my external wallet was transferred in? And I believe, based on what I've seen and what I've been able to show, is that CF does not hold the Bitcoin value of the invoice. What that means is that any fluctuation that happens from the time you send Bitcoin to when it is received carries over into that received amount. So Control Finance has no way to freeze the amount of Bitcoin that it says it wants from you. So the 3% bonus comes in pretty handy there and bumps you over slightly. Why does the withdrawal amount sometimes show an extra penny when the ledger doesn't? I don't really have an answer to that. I think that it's Control Finance's way of giving you the amount that it shows you on their calculator on their website. And why is there a difference between withdrawn and deposit to external wallet? Again, I think it's the same reason why my initial deposit was different than what was transferred into Control Finance. Compounding interest. Now, because Control Finance actually has a real compounding interest thing going on here, that makes this much easier to compute. I had to properly annotate my BitConnect metrics tracker. It was not a true compounding interest scenario, so I have yet to change that. So as you can see, after 23 days, the average interest rate and the return on investment hasn't budged. It's been very consistent. This investment crypto opportunity so far has been consistent in its payouts, but a little bit inconsistent in the process of transferring from dollars back into dollars. That's everything I have for this video. Have a great day. Goodbye.